people. It didn't really matter if they were more of a famous person.
Yeah, like you were saying, nobody's safe, like Game of Thrones. No.
Yeah. Except for those shitty 2 seasons. Maybe even 3 seasons, but the last 2 seasons of that show are so fucking bad. I don't care what anybody says. They're terrible. So that was one question that I had for you. I think I'll save the other one until after you ask me a couple questions, because I think this is a good question to end on.
Okay, cool. My first one is a pretty general question, but I wanted to ask, what is your stance on Carpenter overall?
Like as a filmmaker, or?
Yeah, we'll say as a filmmaker.
I love him. I think he's a pretty great filmmaker. He knows how to work with a budget. And I think that some of his lesser movies are when he actually has a higher budget.
Like Ghost of Mars, for example?
Like Ghost of Mars. His 90s output is not great. There is a movie of his I have not seen that I'm really excited to watch, and by all metrics, like it's considered one of his better movies. One of his, maybe in one of his best films, and that's In the Mouth of Madness.
That's right.
With Sam Neill. I've never seen it. I've always wanted to see it. But I will definitely watch it when I do the miniseries. I'm really excited to see it. I've heard it's really good. And he knows how to make a movie and not make them bloated. You know, like I said, none of his movies are overlong.
Trim the fat.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, because I'm not going to look up all of his movies right now, but I would guarantee you that there's not one of them that is over 2 hours long. And most of them are probably in that 90 to 100 minute range.
Yeah, I mean, even vampires can't be more than an hour 45.
Vampires. Oh, man. That's one that I will be watching again.
Did you ever?
That's one that I own by randomness. I own, because it was a gift from a good friend of mine who's a huge Carpenter fan. Who's the one that showed me Prince of Darkness? I watched Prince of Darkness at his house for the first time.
Oh. Damn, what was I going to tell you? Oh, I don't think he directed the second one, or at least I hope he didn't, even though it says John Carpenter Presents. But did you ever watch the shitty Vampires, Los Muertos? I think it's the sequel.
No, I haven't. No, he did not direct it. You're right on that. But no, I didn't know that there was a sequel.
Yeah, with John Bon Jovi, I think is the
What the
fuck? Yeah. You're not aware of this in existence? Seriously?
I don't think so. No. I remember all the From Dusk Till Dawn sequels that were like directed video.
Yeah, and they have like the T-1000 and fucking...
Yeah, Robert Patrick is in them.
Yeah.
I remember those. I don't remember a vampire sequel.
Yep, there's a vampire sequel, dude, but it was...
Have you watched it?
Yeah. I think it was on TV once, and I sat down and I was like, oh my god. Compared to the original, it's just fucking terrible, man.
The original isn't great, but there is some fun stuff in it.
Yeah.
And even James Woods, as shitty as he is now, is pretty fun. He's like having a good time.
Fucking with the Padre the whole movie. He's like, did you get wood or something, like in the... I think that's what he says, like when the...
Yeah, like after he beats him up, he's like, did you get a little wood? I don't have necessarily a question.
Okay.
But when I was reading a write-up on this movie while I was doing the research, and then was reading a bunch of the comments, the reader comments. One of them said, and I want to get like what you think about this, if this would have been a yes or no.
Okay.
One of the reader comments said, if Carpenter had made this movie in the 80s, Kurt Russell definitely would have played Napoleon Wilson. What do you think about that?
I mean, I could see them doing that, especially because Carpenter tends to use the same people, or, you know, in people that are in his orbit, but like, I think that if it is Kurt Russell, like, would that take away, like, would that be distracting, you know, because you just see Snake?
Probably.
At the same time.
You're right about that.
Because I feel like Assault works because they all feel like real people, and we don't, you know, we weren't super familiar with them. And so it kind of feels, you know, as grounded as a movie, as an exploitation movie can be. But yeah, when you stick a big star in like that, it just feels like, I don't know, it could have worked either way. Like, if I'm not going to say he couldn't pull it off, because I damn well know he probably could, but
he's definitely got the attitude.
Yes.
You know, that kind of wisecracking, deadpan attitude. I tend to agree with you that maybe Russell wouldn't have worked in this, because what makes this movie work is they're all virtually unknowns. I mean, definitely at this point.
Yeah.
You know, none of them went on to huge success. I would argue that Wells probably is the most successful of them, because he appeared in at least the Rocky movies. Tony Burton. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I read that and I was like, yeah, I could see that, just because of the attitude that Wilson gives off.
Like, when Napoleon is about to get on the bus and he's like, "Can I stretch?" You know, for a little bit, and then
that's definitely like a Snake Plissken type move that he pulls
when he fucks up the warden.
Yeah.
After the warden had assaulted him, you know, just minutes earlier. That's something I agree with you that what Snake would do for sure.
Okay, I just wanted your take on that, because I wasn't 100% sold, but I was like, I could kind of see it, just in the attitude. But I agree with you. Like, this movie works because, you know, they're all unknowns. Okay, what else you got for me? If you have anything else.
Side note. We need to, even if it's like a bonus episode or something, we got to do Breakdown at some point on here.
Breakdown is such a good movie. Oh, that's like, it's another just super effective thriller that's like short. It's like 90 minutes practically.
Yeah, it's fast paced. And
immediately starts and then ends as soon as the story is over. And that's what I like about a lot of a really good, efficient movies, is there's no like epilogue scenes where it's like, oh yeah, like 3 minutes later, this is what we're doing now. It's like, as soon as the story that you're telling on screen is over, that's the end of the movie. And Breakdown, I remember watching that when that came out when I was in high school and just loving the movie and being like, whoa, like this is a really good, effective thriller that doesn't waste 1 minute. And Russell's so good in it, as is J.T. Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a great bad guy. R.I.P.
Great villain. But yeah, I would love to chat about that sometime in the future.
Agreed. We've mentioned Breakdown before because Jonathan Mostow, who directed it, was, I think, originally slated to direct The Game.
That you are correct.
Yeah. So we have mentioned Breakdown before. But yeah, I would love to go over that. Because that's a movie I feel a lot of people don't really know.
Yeah, for some reason. It's weird because it's Kurt Russell was still big at that time. I don't know.
Yeah, I would argue that Kurt Russell was bigger in the 90s than he ever was in the 80s when he was making all the Carpenter movies. And maybe that's because Carpenter movies never really had a big box office, that he didn't become a huge star from a lot of those. But I would argue that his 90s, he was an even bigger movie star.
I would say so.
I mean, he had Backdraft, which was a massive, massive hit, like early on. Stargate, which isn't a great movie, but he's pretty good in it.
I hate Stargate because my mom always watched that shitty show.
Yeah, but the show is awful.
Okay.
The movie is decent. It's not great, but I think it's pretty decent, but that show is trash. Stargate Universe, though, was a pretty solid one, which I think was like the third spinoff that I remember liking, because that was a lot more sci-fi than just like, the random planet thing. It was more of like a space show.
Okay.
Kind of a proto Battlestar Galactica.
What is your takeaway from this film? Any themes, or were there any themes that stood out to you in particular?
I just like that, they're in this impossible situation, that they all have to work together. They all have to trust each other. And like I said, the four leads are all great. There is a bit of humor, even though, we would say that there's really no comic relief. I think it's just in the reactions, in like the deadpan, like Napoleon Wilson lines, in the kind of exasperation that Wells has in a couple of those scenes. So I think that there is some humor in it, intentional or not. I think that, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I think the character of Lee, played by Laurie Zimmer, is fucking cool as hell. Is not rattled one bit.
Yeah, again, another thing, like forward-thinking women empowerment, Like,
yeah.
She's not really like the damsel in distress. If anything, the damsel in distress is killed off, but she still maintains like her position as one of the top dogs in the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and she gladly takes the weapon and, defends what she can, even if if she's injured.
Yep.
So is that good enough? Is that a good enough answer?
That's a good enough answer for me, man.
I like this movie. I think it's one of Carpenter's best. And he had a fuck ton of good movies in like about a 15-year period. Okay, so here's my big one. I think we're done talking about Assault on Precinct 13.
Okay.
We've got a good runtime. It's getting later. I have an early meeting, so I'm going to have to drop off here pretty soon.
Okay.
I think I know what you're going to say, and if not, it's going to be the second thing you're going to say.
Okay.
Give me some Carpenter rankings, man. You don't have to give me 5. You don't have to give me 10. Give me how would you rank the Carpenter films that you know and you love? What's your number one? I think I know what you're going to say, but I could be wrong. It's either going to be 1 or 2.
All right, you want my number 1?
Give me the number 1.
I'm going to say Halloween.
I figured as much, but I thought there was an outside chance that you would rank something else above it.
I thought about it in my head, and I'm like, gotta go with Halloween because Myers is my boy, dude.
I know.
2, I have to go with The Thing. 3, I'll say Precinct 13. 4, They Live.
Ooh, good one.
5, I'll say Escape.
I don't need you to clarify if that's Escape from New York. I already know the answer. No one ranks Escape from LA in the top 10.
Oh yeah, it's not Escape from LA.
Only a sadist would. It's tough, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get decent ranking of 5 to 10. of the movies, and I was like, man, like I don't know what to put